What's going on, guys? It's Dylan from Kingz Customs. We're going to show you how to install a brand new snorkel, one of our snorkels, on a 2024 Isuzu D-Max. Alright, we're going to go and lay all of our tools and our kit out. So we'll start with the snorkel kit. So we're going to lay it out, make sure we've packaged you everything correctly and you've got all your components. So each snorkel kit's going to vary. If you're watching this video and you've got another dual cab, it's very hand in hand, same thing. This install is specific 2020 D-Maxes upwards. Let's get stuck into some tools. Some of the basic tools you're going to need, what we like to use is our big flat blade, that's right hand rattle gun, quarter drive or an 8mm socket, a 7mm socket, extension, 10mm ratchet spanner, drill with a 7mm and a riv nut gun or pneumatic riv nut gun. No, I don't expect everyone to have these, so just your usual King Chrome or Stanley riv nut gun will help. And we do use an air pneumatic buzz saw for the cutting of the guard. We're not going to show you how else to cut it because this is the best way to do it. We're obviously going to need masking tape and some lubricant. So Ultra or any lubricants, CRC, WD-40, 2040. All right, let's get stuck into it. So first, we're going to pop the bonnet. We've got our window down. We're going to start with masking the guards. Now we've got our template. So the most important part of this job besides the cutting. So we'll have reference points, 2 or 3 reference points. Now we've got the template securely mounted. We're going to grab a fine, sharp Sharpie or Milwaukee texter, pen, pencil, whatever you got. All right, now the template's been positioned and marked out, we can carefully remove it. Now we're going to get into the more tedious section, removing the inner guard liner. New cars are the best, old cars are the worst, dirty cars are even fucking shitter. We're going to get our 8mm with the D-Max. They have a little press-in bolt style plastic clip, and they also have a couple of 10mm bolt screws here. So the trick to these is don't undo them all the way, do them about 3/4 and then give them a quick pull. Rinse and repeat. 10mm here. All right, we are going to need to get an extension and a little flat blade. So the D-Maxes and Hiluxes will have a little couple of 10mm bolts and nuts down here. Now that should all be loose. Now not everyone has the pry tools and we like to just use the sharp electrical side cutters. You come in behind it here, start the pry, get in neatly, don't cut it and just pry it out. Little flat blade, pull that down. All right, so you can install these with pretty basic tools. That's a big dog. All right, that should be all of them. You want to pry these tabs down on your flare so you don't rip them off when you start getting shitty that it's not coming out in the first go. Start on the inside around the sway bar, push in, and then push in and down. So you're pulling down with your right hand and you're pushing in with your left hand. Now that's revealing this lip out of this flare and guard. Now that's out of your way, try and position it where it's not going to piss you off. So now you can see what we're left with in there. We're moving forward to the engine bay now. So we're going to get rid of this factory epoxy air duct. So another couple of clips. This guy is disposable. Now coming down to the factory airbox, you want to make sure that this water diverter is still secure. So we want to remove this foam because that gives us a perfect 3-inch diameter. We're going to get a rag. We're going to cover our intake so we don't get any metal filings or dust and dirt in there. Now we're going to get our 7mm drill bit. Make sure it's tight in the chuck. We don't want to be slipping. Don't want to be slipping, it's on camera. Now we've got our air saw, our air line, fresh blade. All right, the trick to these is you always want to keep it in the torque zone. So you want to keep the tool leading, never backwards. If it's backwards, it's going to vibrate like crazy and you're going to run the risk of it jagging and then pulling out and then bouncing, and then this guy just starts making Christmas tree patterns all around your hole. So we don't want that. So we're going to go in, we're going to start it up off the workpiece, lean down. Don't cut it all the way through, that way the piece doesn't fall down inside this void down here and then you're going fishing for your piece of metal. Or it bounces out and falls and scratches the side of your guard. So keep hold of that. Now, before we get into the next step, we're going to remove the tape. We're going to grab some primer and black paint. We're going to grab your cutout with a glove on. You can use a paintbrush if you have access to paintbrushes. We do this all day, every day. We're not going to reuse fucking little weird paintbrushes. The finger method is just as effective. We're going to start with one coat. We're going to let it dry. So now we're going to grab our 3-inch 90 degree. We do pre-cut them for you and you'll see why. We're going to grab our 4 3-inch hose clamps, our S-bend, and our 90 4 to 3-inch silicone joiner. We're going to also need our 7mm for our hose clamps and our lubrication station. Before we chuck our S-bend in, we're going to pre-lube it up. We're going to insert it from the front and rotate it in and around. So it does go, just need to be careful with it. We're going to throw our hose clamps and orientate them in the correct way that we want to be able to do them up and have access. So it is a bit fiddly, but very easy to do when you get your head around it. Once they're pushed down there and retained, we're going to spray this guy up. Keep plenty of spray on there, and a little bit on the outside. That's going to help hose clamps slide over your silicone joiner. You carefully push that on, push it down, and clip this guy on and over. Just be cautious that you're not ripping it out, because once those plastic clips fall off, you're going to have to delay your install and glue those back together using super glue or an epoxy resin. So that's an overnight jobby, and we don't want that. So be careful down here. It's realistically the only thing that can go wrong. Now, being plastic, we don't want to send it to the moon with ugger-duggers, so we just nip it up. Alright, check that it's secure. While we're here, and we've got our tools in our hand, we can tighten this hose clamp up as well. And that there is your airbox piping done. I'm going to chuck one more layer, another coat, make sure we got our rust protection down pat. Alright, so now we got our pinch weld out, guys. Okay, I'm going to start with the join. We want the join always hidden, we don't want to see it. So we start with our join in line with the A-pillar, so pretty much where the end of the egg or the kidney shape is. Now we're going to push that in, make sure it's firm, give your fingers a good rub around there. Now to cut these, general rule of thumb is run it to there and cut 5mm higher than you cut. Okay, so sometimes you get the metal bit. Cut that, and then when you pull it back on itself, push that in and wedge it. Alright, that way you're never going to cut short. 4 to 3-inch 90 degree silicone joiner in. We're going to spray lube the inside and the outside. So we're going to aim to get the 3-inch side onto the 3-inch stainless steel joiner. Like I said before, we want to brace our plastic factory clip. So reach over into your engine bay, gently push on the silicone joiner. And what you want to aim for, best result, would to have the silicone through your factory hole in the inner guard there, and that will stop any vibrations and rattles. Now we don't want to tighten the hose clamp up under there yet, we still want it to be rotatable. You keep it wet. You got your flash snorkel, alright, powder coated, texture black, brushed, gloss, satin. We're going to spray the lube the end, don't be shy, get it wet. We're going to go in on an angle. Alright, it should be nice and tight if you've done your cutout, alright, that's why we want plenty of lube. Alright, we're going to wedge in. Now take note of the snorkel angle, okay? Don't try and get it down to your A-pillar just yet. We're going to wedge it in as far as we can until it feels like it wants to stop. And then we're going to carefully go up to our A-pillar. We're going to open the door with one hand, push it in with the other hand, close the door on it. You want to have a look inside and make sure it's lining up with your silicone joiner. Alright, and you've got about a finger's gap between the inner guard and the snorkel. Once we're happy with our alignment, we're going to support the snorkel, open the door, reach through the window, and we're going to mark with our Sharpie directly in those lines. Now the snorkel's removed and the door's fully open and you've got your marks, D-Max specific. Alright, you cannot drill so too close to the inner edge. We need to aim for basically the end of the line here. Reason being is there's internal bracing which doesn't allow your riv nut or your bolt to go through all the way. Alright, so we like to use step drill bits, so as you can see, they have a center on them and then they step out, so it's a lot more controllable. Now they're done, we're going to peel the tape back. We're going to add a bit of paint protection on there. This is the Midland paintbrush. So we're going to wedge that in. And just like we did with the snorkel cutout. Apply a layer. Let that dry. We're going to get our riv nuts on our hand riveter. So we're going to show you with our rivet gun and what it does. The other alternative, guys, you can pick these up from your local hardware store, Auto One, Bunnings, Toolmart. Alright, so it's just a king chrome riveter with the 5mm bit mandrel on it. You're going to insert it, you're going to press it in as tight as you can, get the right setting, and then crimp it, clamp it. Back it out. Alright, you want to make sure it's nice, secure, pressed. Now grabbing our button head M5 by 12mm bolts, start the thread by hand. We're going to wind them in to about 5mm off the panel and reinsert our snorkel. So more spray lube, insert again, in and down. Alright, now this is where you want to be paying careful attention to your slots. Alright, you want to get your screwdriver started with your left hand. Pull the snorkel towards or hard in as you can. Usually this bracket butts out. There you go, that's fully secured on the A pillar, keeping behind the door sill and never on the outside. You'll never see our snorkels mounted disgracefully like that, ever. Alright, the final piece of this puzzle is our inner guard. Now this will take a bit of patience, so hit it with the right attitude. We want to pre-lube our stainless or aluminium joiner and pre-lube our silicone joiner. I'm going to grab our hose clamps, we need 3. Slide them on and down, keep them out of the way. Spray a bit of lube at the top just to allow our silicone to spin. I'm going to point that downward. We're going to grab our 4-inch silicone, put it on our 4-inch straight, like so. We're going to insert our 4-inch silicone into our elbow, and then we're going to aim it upwards. So twist it until you can feel it with your left hand, then simply grab the silicone 4-inch straight, get a good grip on it, and it should just slide straight over your end of your snorkel. Now you want to make sure you've got ample coverage, okay, so you want to be like pinch it, feel where the joiners and the metal starts and stops. Once you're happy with that, you want to slide your hose clamps one by one. Now using your 7mm socket and your ratchet or your right hand rattle gun, make sure the hose clamp bolt isn't hard up against the cab because it will rattle and make a noise. So we like to keep them on the bottom. Do that up nice and tight. Don't over tighten it, you'll strip your hose clamp bolt, and then continue to do the next 2. And now our last hose clamp that we need to do up is of course our 3-inch 90. There's plenty of meat inside the silicone joiner. We do that up firm, and there you have it. There's our snorkel all plumbed up, none of that ducting required, hardline silicone joiners and hose clamped. So that's fully sealed unit to your factory air box. We're about to get into reinstalling it in the guard liner, fitting it off, cleaning it, wiping the vehicle down, take it out for some photos, show your mates, tag us, and enjoy the loud snorkel getting it.